Hello and welcome to F1 Daily, your daily dose of Formula One here on the F1 Word. How is everybody in chat? Everybody good? Hello to everybody watching as well. A few bits to get through tonight. We are a little bit earlier because as I was saying yesterday, I've got plans tonight and so had to stream a hell of a lot earlier. So we've had FP1 and FP2 today. We'll be going over those talking points over the next 20 to 30 minutes, as well as, of course, the full results. I will say, not a great day for Stoffel Van Dorn, but more on that a little bit later. And also, yet more news on Force Stroll India Racing Point Grand Prix F1 team. Even more news. Good news and also confusing news as well, in my opinion. But we'll get onto that in just a moment. Should we kick things off, though? We'll come to our question of the day in just a moment, but let's kick things off by having a look at the result from FP1. Brace yourself for my incredible graphics. Look at that, that's incredible. Amazing, took me minutes. But it was Sebastian Vettel who topped FP1 this morning with a lap time of 1:44.358 ahead of Max Verstappen. Just a tenth and a half off the pace, somewhat surprisingly really, on a track that pretty much comes down to power, at least in the first and the third sectors. Lewis Hamilton in third place for Mercedes ahead of Kimi Raikkonen, who's looking very good once again this weekend, as he often does in Spa. He takes fourth place. Valtteri Bottas looking okay, but things are obviously going to take a turn come Sunday again. I will get onto that in just a moment. He was in fifth place. Daniel Ricciardo, sixth position. As you can see there, just 4 laps completed. Miserable morning for him. Esteban Ocon for Force India in 7th place. Nico Hülkenberg 8th. And Sergio Perez 9th. Actually looking like a fairly solid weekend for what is basically a team making their debut. It's weird saying that because it's the same name, basically, but there you go. Carlos Sainz in 10th place there, so looking very close between them and Force India. Pierre Gasly P11 with Romain Grosjean in 12th. Surprised, actually, at how far off the pace Haas seemed to be at the moment, but whether or not that is all going to come down to fuel loads. As I will say right now and throughout this stream, it is only Friday. Anything can happen between now and tomorrow, so you just never know. Charles Leclerc 13th for Saab with Marcus Ericsson right behind him in 14th. Brendan Hartley 15th with Lance Stroll in 16th. Kevin Magnussen right down in 17th. Lando Norris making his FP1 debut in 18th. 3 seconds off the pace, but quicker than his teammate, but for reasons, once again, I will talk about in just a moment. Sergei Sorokin in 19th and Stoffel Van Dorn in 20th. Your FP2 result. Yeah, I'll do the results first and we'll get on to talking points. It's best that way. Kimi Raikkonen was quickest this afternoon. Again, like I say, looking very impressive. A 1:43.355. Hamilton second. Bottas in third with Verstappen fourth and Vettel down in fifth, but he didn't actually get a clean lap on his quali run after an error towards the end of his lap, so that's probably why he looks so far off the pace there. Daniel Ricciardo better afternoon in P6. Again, look, Sergio Perez, P7 for Force India, looking very good. Carlos Sainz in 8th. Sauber looked quick this weekend again. Marcus Ericsson in P9 with Charles Leclerc in 10th. They were apparently, as you can completely understand, a very happy team with that this afternoon. Nico Hülkenberg in 11th place with Romain Grosjean down in 12th. Esteban Ocon ended the session in 13th place with Kevin Magnussen just behind in 14th. Like I say, Haas really not showing any pace today. So, I'm pretty sure they're going to have some with that Ferrari engine in the back come tomorrow in qualifying, so I don't think there's too much to read into that one. Pierre Gasly in 15th place for Toro Rosso. Alonso back in for FP2. He qualified. He set the time in 16th place. Brendan Hartley 17th. Sergei Sorokin 18th. Lance Stroll in 19th. And Stoffel Van Dorn, last of all, again in 20th place. Yes, not a good day for him. I will talk about Stoffel Van Dorn in just a moment, but let's get on to... Actually, no, wait, let's do Van Dorn first. Why not? He had some big brake issues this morning, some brake-by-wire issues, I think they were, in fact. That was fixed, and he was able to get back out on track with round about an hour left in the session, probably just under, I think it was. But then he had yet more issues towards the end of the session and lost even more track time. If any guy has been unlucky this season, and there's been a couple... Stoffel Van Dorn just cannot catch a break. It's his home Grand Prix. People are talking about this shootout between him and Lando Norris, possibly for the seat, and he just can't catch a break. I think 3 issues, 2 in FP1 and FP2, which I'll get to again in just a second, but just not a particularly brilliant day for him. And you can't really... People will blame him and say, oh, Van Dorn's lost it, he's not got it anymore, he's blown his chance. But these are mechanical problems. You know, he can do nothing with the brake-by-wire issue. Apparently he hit the brake and it went straight to the floor. Well, around a circuit like Spa, first of all, yeah, that could be very dangerous. Any circuit, but certainly around Spa at the speeds that they're carrying. And secondly, that's entirely not his fault. So I don't think he can take any blame for this. I just feel for the guy. I can't help but feel for the guy. I know there's been a lot of people claiming I hate him, bizarrely, but I'm going to say it. It's like my catchphrase now. I do highly rate Van Dorn. I think he's a very good driver and has got the potential to deliver, but he just isn't. He hasn't been delivering this weekend so far, but not through any fault of his own. But people are still going to slam him for it, and I don't think that's right. And then this afternoon, he had yet more problems because he came in complaining that his car was completely undrivable, and then he had to replace the floor midway through the session. So he's just had a pretty miserable Friday and not really been able to deliver, frankly, what we all know he can do based on what he's done in previous years in his career. So he's going to have a big Saturday is what he needs. And he's, there is talk of rain in FP3 tomorrow, which could ruin that for everybody and limit the track time. But really feel for the guy. I know a lot of you in chat have been talking to people on social media today as well, and in the comment section too, yesterday's video, some other videos as well, that just can't help but feel for him. I know that drivers have to take their opportunities, and sometimes it does come down to timing. And if that bad luck and that timing kind of come together at the same time, it can sometimes spell the end. But I can't give him any blame for today, given that he wasn't a million miles off his teammate or Norris in the end, given that he had the problems he had. But that was it for Van Dorn. Not a great day. Daniel Ricciardo, he had, as I said earlier, 4 laps in the morning. He completed the install laps as usual, but then he had problems that led to repairs being carried out, and it turned out that it was an engine issue for the team. Unless that's changed since, that was something reported about an hour ago that it was an engine issue. He did eventually get out in FP1, but with just under 4 minutes left of the session, there was just no running for him at all in the morning. Nothing significant anyway. He did have a much better FP2, so that's big. No word of any penalties for him, so I don't think it sounds like it's a terminal issue with the engine, which is good. The last thing Red Bull need is more Renault engine problems. But what I will say is people have already got their tinfoil hats on Twitter, which is hilarious. I love reading stuff like that, and you know how much Jonty and I enjoy this. A lot of people saying, well, isn't it convenient that he moves to Renault and then he comes to the Belgian Grand Prix weekend and he's suddenly got power unit issues? And it's like, yeah, he's been having them all season. So I don't think there's any kind of conspiracy there. But I'll just put it out there. I know how a lot of you enjoy a little bit of a conspiracy theory as well. So nothing wrong with that one. A quick run through some stats, if you like. Well, not stats as such, but I've been looking at the Sky F1 website, the official F1 website, and also James Allen on F1. If you don't follow him or you haven't been on his website, have a look because there's some great stuff on there. He gives you some really good information. But the quali runs, it was close between Mercedes and Ferrari, pretty much as we expected. But Vettel looked a lot worse said there than he actually was because he didn't get a clean run because of an error in his quali simulation. It is going to be close between them guys again. Obviously, then after that, it was all race simulation, as it always is in that case. The race pace averages on the super soft tyres were very close. Apparently about a 10th between Kimi Raikkonen and Sebastian Vettel, with Hamilton a 10th as well, a little bit quicker than the Ferraris. But then Kimi and Vettel were both on much longer runs during that session. So I think those times are a little bit skewed. And again, as I'm going to say a couple more times, I'm sure, it is just Friday. We don't know fuel loads. We don't know engine modes. We don't know setup. So that could all be completely irrelevant, but we have to go on what we've got, which is the numbers really. So based on the Sky F1 calculations, the long run pace order, if you like, is Hamilton, Raikkonen, Vettel. So Raikkonen looking really good this weekend, and it looks as though Ferrari have got a great shot of taking it in Spa. But the problem is rain is forecast at times throughout the rest of the weekend, so that could really hamper their chances. But it is either way going to be so close. And as I said a moment ago, just a 10th in it. Ferrari are also looking very good on the medium tyres as well, again edging out Mercedes. This is again according to James Allen. In sectors 1 and 3, where the power unit is key, that was not supposed to rhyme, Raikkonen was actually quicker than the Mercedes. So Ferrari look as though, at Spa at least, they've got the quicker power unit. Again, Mercedes may not be running at full power, but it looks that way at the moment. Curiously, though, Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton were quicker than Ferrari through Sector 2. But even more curiously, Red Bull were fastest through the final sector despite that long, flat-out run to the bus stop chicane. What that says to me is they've pretty much done what they did in Canada, where they've taken all the downforce off that car and just they've gone for it. And it worked pretty well for Max Verstappen in Canada. He got the podium as well, topped a couple of sessions over the weekend too. So looks like they've gone that way. I'm going to do a bit more reading up on that before the qualifying stuff tomorrow, because that's intrigued me as to why they're so quick there. But it looks as though with about, I think it's less than a second or half a second, I think it's less than a second between the top 3 teams, it looks like it's going to be very close this weekend. I'm hoping, if I'm being honest, for a little bit of rain tomorrow in qualifying. I would like to see if Red Bull, one, have learnt from their mistakes in Hungary when it came to the wet weather, But 2, I'd like to see them get in the mix, get nice and close and mix up the front end of the grid, because that will set us up very nicely for quite a tasty Grand Prix. And you know how much we all love that. So definitely want Red Bull to get in the mix. Couple of other talking points ahead of Saturday before I kind of summarise the practice sessions. Mercedes and all of their customer teams as well have introduced the new Spec 3 engines at Spa. Ferrari have done something similar too. What that means, though, is that Bottas will take a grid penalty for exceeding his season allocation. He's taken a full new unit and will start from the back of the grid. So that has already hampered Mercedes' weekend in terms of strategy, particularly for Sunday, because obviously you're going to have 2 Ferraris and 2 Red Bulls and only 1 Mercedes up there. So that's going to make things interesting. So they're on the back foot in that respect. Also, Nico Hülkenberg, he will get a grid penalties and will start just ahead of Bottas, having taken his penalties first. And if you're interested, I don't know if you are, but new engines for Hamilton, Bottas, Raikkonen, Vettel, Perez, Ocon, Stroll, Sirotkin, Hülkenberg, Sainz, and Van Dorn today. So there you go. And like I said, there's talk that tomorrow's FP3 will be wet, so don't expect too much running, which is going to be frustrating because I find personally FP3 quite a dull session anyway. So with no running, we're just going to be watching people boating down the pit lane, I suppose, and things like that, like we've seen in the past. So not going to be particularly exciting, but, you know, we might get another rain dance. Maybe Verstappen and Ricciardo will do a Kvyat and Ricciardo. I doubt it. No, it's not going to happen. But basically, to summarise, as I've been saying already throughout this whole practice roundup, it is only Friday. As we've seen so many times this season, Friday just isn't that reliable in terms of info, except for perhaps maybe race pace. But even then, like I say, we don't know the fuel loads and we don't know the engine modes. But it does look very, very close. Ferrari looking good, but if that rain does turn up, that is going to change very quickly, as we saw in Hungary. Keep an eye. My one to watch, I think, was Esteban Ocon for the weekend. Glad I went with him because, like I say, Force India looking very, very quick. Obviously, Mercedes power unit in the back, a fresh one as well for both drivers, so that could be big. But also keep an eye on Sauber because they are looking very impressive, and I'm not convinced that Haas are as slow as they have been today. So keep an eye on them. It's going to be very fascinating, but I reckon that battle to be best of the rest might include Force India this weekend. So Haas, Renault and Force India going for best of the rest. That'll do me. That'll be very, very interesting indeed. Going to take some of your comments on practice then, as we always do in these F1 dailies. Sorry if I'm going a bit speedy with all the information. I should have linked some of it in the description, really, so you can go and have a read for yourselves. But I might start doing that with F1 dailies, actually, so you can have a bit of a read and have a look at where I get all my information from. A lot of it comes from Planet F1, so go and check them out. They're awesome. They do the live timing as well for the watch-alongs. The rain can go away. We'll put it that way, says Danny. Get a bit of rain, it gets Red Bull in the mix. It keeps us all guessing as well, so can't be too bad. I get what I'm guessing you're a bit of a Ferrari fan. So, yeah, that would be understandable why you want to keep it away, although it could be different to Hungary. You just don't know. And Kimi, of course, after Hungary, said that he was happy with the car in the rain, whereas Vettel wasn't quite so happy. I'm not old, Christos. Second day in a row, pack it in. Hallam says, who is backing Kimi for the win? He's got a great chance. It's very much a Kimi Raikkonen circuit. Just going to flick through anything on Van Dorn. If anyone wants to say something on him, I will give you a shout out. Ryan says RIP wingman, harsh. Please no rain, I want a Ferrari win, says Max. Jonty's here. Good evening, Jonty, sir. Hello. Vettel pole, Sainz 7th. Yeah, that's a random prediction. I like it, though. Do you think the 9-9... I'm not even going to read that because I'm going to end up having to answer it and make a fool of myself. So, feel like Checo's got a podium chance, says Vardhan. I think they'd need luck, a lot of luck. I think there need to be some retirements ahead of him, but you've already lost Bottas, who... I suppose the only thing is you can come through the field in Spa, so he's going to be quick coming through, but the Mercedes doesn't often follow very well, so could take a while, but it's Belgium. As we saw 20 years ago. Thank you, by the way, Crofty and Sky, for reminding me that crash was 20 years ago. It made me feel about 106. So thank you for that. But as we saw, anything can happen in Belgium. So I'm going to try not to big it up too much because I bigged up Canada quite a bit and it all went wrong. So he could, but he's going to need a hell of a lot of luck. So, but it would be kind of a fairy tale story given the few weeks they've had. So it'd be nice. It would be nice. Max is going to win. So many Dutch fans, says Fish Lips. Great name. Yeah, again, I think Red Bull will need the rain if they're going to do it, but they look like they've shaved off that downforce. They're going to be quicker than I think we were expecting earlier in the week. So maybe, possibly maybe. Sorry, 106 fair play. I'm not really that old. Reigning qualifying, Ocon gets surprise pole win, and then he gets demoted from F1. Says robotic hamster. It would be about his luck. The only person probably that could go wrong for as well is Van Dorn. But yeah, we can stop with the age stuff now. Thank you. I'm already feeling old. So glad that Force India are still here. Absolutely going to get onto them in just a moment as well. Wet conditions mean Verstappen might be on pole, says April. Possibly. I just want Charles in the points, and I'm happy, says Matty Beast. Verstappen is guaranteed driver of the day. Are those days? I think those days are gone now, so I think we're all right. Norris killed Van Dorn in FP1. I think if Van Dorn had a full session without issues, it would have been the other way around. But Norris, I have to say, ignoring everything else, Norris was very solid today. And I think he's impressed a lot of people and turned a few heads. So whether it's McLaren, Toro Rosso, or another season in F2, he's shown that he can deliver in an F1 car. Obviously, it's only FP1, and a full weekend is a completely different thing, but it's a positive start and a great step for him. But he is still only 18, so let's all calm down. He looks good. He looks like a talent. Same with George Russell. There's no rush. They've got plenty of time. Charles needs to prove himself in the wet. That's a good comment from Lewis Timney. He did have some issues in Hockenheim, but he did also save it pretty impressively in Hockenheim as well. So very good. Couple more comments before I get onto the Force India stuff. Norris was better in FP1 than in F2 qualifying. Yeah, pulled over, didn't he? Was it De Vries that got pole in Formula 2's qualifying today, I think? So congratulations to him. And a lot of times getting deleted as well through quali. So I think we're going to see that tomorrow in F1, obviously cutting the corner up at, I'm not saying it, turn 4, up at turn 4. So yeah, the sensor's obviously working there. I'm writing about if George and Lando are ready yet, says Formula Incident. Yep, absolutely, Ellie. Good article. Have a read of that one. Love your stuff. Definitely go check out Formula Incident. Hopefully, need to message you later, get you on a stream this weekend. So we sort those technical issues out. Norris is looking good for the seat, says Formula Stamford. I still think Ocon's got a shout in there. And one more very quickly before I get onto the other stuff. Sauber looking great and quite competitive this weekend, says Philip Barber, who once again gets his full name. Yeah, I'm really impressed with them today. I know it's only Friday and whatnot, but they looked fairly decent. Let's get this Force India. I'm just going to call them Force India. Forget it. It's Force India. Going to get the news out of the way before I go. Force India, good news, but also, as I said earlier, a little bit confusing. I'm going to get onto why in just a second. They will not lose their share of Formula One's prize money following a unanimous agreement. Don't often get to say that, between its rivals' teams. That was according to racefans.net this morning, but has been confirmed since. And I have to say, they have been bang on with the stories this year, so that's another one to go check out if you haven't already. Racefans.net, very impressed with them this year. They broke the Ricciardo news about half an hour before it actually came out, so yeah. The team was, of course, rescued from administration, but had to apply for a new entry to be able to go racing for the rest of this season. That would have meant forfeiting its rights to what is known as the Column 1 prize money it had earned, which is shared out equally between all 10 teams. But it has been confirmed today that all 9, I can't believe it, Force India's rivals agreed to allow the new team, Racing Point Force India, to inherit its predecessor's share of Column 1 earnings. This is in addition to the Column 2 revenues, keeping up, it qualifies for via points earned from the Belgian Grand Prix onwards. Now, this is why I'm a little bit baffled, and I know there's a few on social media. I'm going to come to you in chat as well, because I think people are a little bit, not confused, just can't understand why it's so inconsistent. Given that they don't get a reset of their pool of engines, because their constructor status, if you like, is still officially Force India Mercedes, it does seem fair they keep the money, because then that all makes sense, doesn't it? You know, they are a new team, but they're the same constructor, so they get to keep the current pool of engines, so they don't get any extras, and they get the money. But if that's the case, why not the points? Now, I might have missed something huge, this gaping story that's right in my face somewhere, but let me know in chat if I have. But that just feels a little bit inconsistent, or massively inconsistent to me. If they're seen as the same constructor, and that's why they can't have a reset with the engines of 3 for the rest of the season, and they get to keep the money, doesn't it make sense that they then get to keep the points as well? I know they're a new entity and a new team, but you're then saying they're the same constructor. So it's KJ said it was a compromise. Was that the official line. I must have missed that somewhere because I was looking for it earlier on that, but I found it quite. It would make sense, maybe, I suppose. I still don't think it's possibly the right way to go. But if they're going to go with a compromise, then I suppose that's one way to get your 9 teams to agree, isn't it? If they're willing to get something out of it. But it just seems a little bit odd to me that maybe they should have kept their points in the end. I know yesterday we were kind of possibly confused a few with what we were trying to say. We weren't, people think we were saying that it was right that they did this and didn't do that. We weren't. We were just trying to compare the two things. So a bit of an odd one. But yeah, compromise, I believe, so the teams would agree, says Boulderra. I'm going to Boulderra. Screw it, that's what I'm calling it. They want a reset on the engines. I know they've been talking about that. They do want a reset on the engines, but I don't think that's going to come. So that was basically the big story, if you like, from there. It kind of rounds everything off now. They are going to get to keep their prize money. I'm glad you've confirmed that in chat for me. I've just seen it online now, just half reading an article about it, and it just kind of confirmed that it was a compromise. So apologies if I didn't cover that in this one, but just that's why I do these, so I can clarify things with you guys, get your views on it all. But it's all sorted now. It looks as though we're all done and dusted. Would you like a rumour? Let me know in chat if you'd like another rumour, because I'm willing to pop one out there. I've read from our massively reliable source in the world of journalism, the German publication Bild, that it's looking increasingly unlikely that Van Dorn will be dropped. Or was it Bild that said that? I believe it was. Because of issues with getting Esteban Ocon. Let me find that article. I probably should have checked this before. The tweet says, looks like Van Dorn can't be kicked out at McLaren easily to make room for Ocon, allowing Stroll to switch to Force India for 2019. We expect Leclerc to step up to Haas, Giovinazzi likely to go to Sauber. So it doesn't look like they're going to be able to just ditch Van Dorn as easy as they thought. But yeah, just thought I'd just random tweet just throughout. Retweet earlier if you follow me on Twitter and you can read the article. I'm not going to try and sit here and translate German for you. Struggle with English, as you can probably tell, so not going to be doing that one. But yeah, just a little rumour out there. So Giovinazzi, do you reckon in that Sauber, can you see that happening? I'm not 100%. I know they're not the most reliable source in the world. I think somebody in the comments yesterday, if you're in chat, let me know, because it was brilliant. It made me giggle. That Bild is basically the German equivalent of the Sun. If you're from the UK, so there you go. You can't really read too much into it. At the end of the day, sorry, I was having a drink. At the end of the day, the only people that know are Force India, McLaren, Esteban Ocon, and all of that. So at the end of the day, we have to wait and see what goes on there. I've got your question for today. Where are we? There we go. I have written it down. I'm not on it. But having seen FP1 and FP2, who do you think will take pole position tomorrow? Once again, I will come to you in chat in just a second. There's no poll today because I can only give 4 answers, so I was bound to upset somebody. So I thought I'd just ask you. So let me know in the chat. I'll come to you in a second. If you're watching this after the stream has finished, then do let me know in the comment section who will take pole position tomorrow based on what we've seen in FP1 and FP2. I said Vettel yesterday in the preview. I can't really change them, because I get into trouble when I change my previews and everyone's like, oh, you can't backtrack now. So I'm going to have to stick with Vettel. But let's see what you guys are saying. Robotic Hamster says Kimi Räikkönen. Thomas says Vettel. Caleb says maybe Haas can do it. Maybe. I don't know. If it's raining, Hamilton says Alex. Vettel, if it doesn't rain, says Ellie. Kimi for pole. Can he hook up that final lap? That's what we need, Bill Star. We need him to hook up that final sector if he's going to do it. I think a lot of people would love to see Kimi do it, just because it is Raikkonen. And I saw something on Twitter earlier. Somebody tweeted me and said, wouldn't it be so Kimi for him to win in Spa and then announce his retirement in Monza? It really would. So a contribution, thank you very much, from TV Land 3458. Do you think Ferrari will put Kimi on a compromise strategy to put Vettel ahead, even if Kimi is leading? It's the championship, isn't it? Vettel's in for the Drivers' Championship. Kimi's not a million miles away, but Vettel's their best chance of that first Drivers' title since 2007. Sorry, brain fade. Yeah, since 2007. So they might even sort of push team orders. I don't know. I expect we're going to see a lot more team orders or clever team strategy from Ferrari and Mercedes between now and the end of the season, because obviously it's looking like Vettel Hamilton for the title. Raikkonen could, but I don't really see it. So maybe, but thank you very much, mate, for the contribution. Really do appreciate that. Seb, if it doesn't rain, Hamilton if it does, says Dylan. Kimi needs a pole, says Tifosi Man 68. Be great to see. I think everyone would go crazy if Kimi did it. Thor says please rain. Owen McGee says Kimi, Max Hamilton. RC, if wet Hamilton, if dry Vettel, it seems to be that you're going for that one. Stroll for pole, says Joseph. That rhymes, mate. I mean, almost. I'm impressed with that. I'm impressed. Hamilton, Kimi, Raikkonen. It looks like you're pretty much between Hamilton, Vettel and Raikkonen, which seems a bit obvious when you think about it. But see what happens tomorrow. If it does rain, you could probably throw a Red Bull in there. Maybe not. I don't know. They weren't particularly brilliant in Hungary, but I'd like to think they've sorted out whatever issues they had in the rain. But you just never know. You never know. Kimi Bottas Vettel, says KJ. Maybe he can qualify second, but he won't be starting second, of course, because he gets that grid penalty and will start from the back of the grid. I suppose that's another question I could ask before I go for those in chat. Where can Bottas recover to tomorrow? Do you think he can get a podium out of it? I would probably, for me, I think fourth if everybody finishes out of Vettel, Raikkonen and Hamilton. I think fourth is his best chance, but that's going to come down to how quickly he can get through and just how quick those Red Bulls are. So it's, yeah, I'm going to go fourth. KJ says sixth. Top 10 for Caleb. Definitely get top 10, unless he retires. I can't see him not. But yeah, fifth, sixth, fourth. So we think it's sort of between fourth and sixth. I think would make a lot of sense. I'm going to take a couple of questions as well before I go because I'm sort of underrunning, which is bizarre. It's a very bizarre feeling underrunning. So get a bit more interaction on a Friday. I will say about these F1 dailies on a race Friday, they're a bit more chilled. I'm just going to throw sort of results at you, debate the weekend and make some predictions as well. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'll let you know what's coming up as well in just a moment. But the reason I'm going to take some questions is because OES04 says, when are you getting your edition of F1 2018, Sean? I have it. I gave in and bought it last night as a digital download, which has frustrated me today. Fantastic game graphically. It handles really well. It sounds amazing when you've got your headphones on. Really impressed with the game. Except for a couple of issues. It's a little bit buggy, and a few people are complaining about this on Twitter today. I know that Codemasters are trying to sort it out. If you go check out on their forums, there's a lot going on. But I had an issue today where Nico Hulkenberg retired from the Australian Grand Prix, first race in career mode, retired, but then 2 or 3 laps later overtook Sebastian Vettel for the lead with the fastest lap of the race, which was a 23-something, and not a 1:23-something, a 23-second lap around Australia. So I knew Renault would improve this year, but I wasn't quite expecting that, and also some other issues with sub 30-second lap times in the game as well. So a lot of bugs going on. It is, as somebody pointed out, launch day. I get a little bit funny with that kind of thing though, because they've had a year to make it, and then they've had beta testers as well. So for me, maybe could have sorted them out, but I suppose until so many thousand people get their hands on it, you're not going to iron out every single bug. So career mode a little bit buggy for me. A lot of people reporting no problems at all. So there you go. RC said it there, but we shall see. We shall see. It will get improved. They'll patch it and sort it, but maybe I won't be starting a proper career mode for a little while till it's all sorted. So, but Nico Hulkenberg winning despite retiring. That's impressive. Conspiracy theory right there for you. I'll take a couple more questions before I go. Let's have a look. Do you think Sauber can get a driver to Q3? Asks Mikkel. I think so. I think Leclerc's got a great chance, as usual. But Ericsson's looking quick. Ericsson looks very quick this weekend, so I'm pretty confident they can. Comes down to Haas, I suppose, and just how quick those Force Indias are. But yeah, I'm going to say yes and go Leclerc P10. I think he will. McLaren finished third in the race. I think you talking somebody else. Sorry, doesn't matter. Who replaces Stroll in 2019? Says existence. Placing Stroll, Russell or Ocon? I'm going to go... Kubica maybe. No, I'm going to go Russell. I'll go Russell. Why not? I keep saying Ocon, but I'll go with Russell. How do you think Haas will hold up this weekend? Asks Josh. I think they'll be fine. I think they've got more pace than they've shown us today, so I think they're going to be okay with that one. Nothing too much to worry about there, but hoping Grosjean can have a good weekend. I know he gets a lot of stick, but I'm hoping... There are Hartley, Van Dorn and Grosjean. I really want to have cracking weekends. Not started quite so well for Stoffel, obviously, with his FP1, but at the end of the day, points are handed out on a Sunday. So hopefully those three can have a good race because they really need it. Although Hartley sounds like he might be staying. If he can, apparently, according to Helmut Marko, I think it was, as long as he keeps out the barriers and keeps finishing races, then he should be able to keep his seat. So, I don't know. It would just be nice to see those three have a good weekend. I wouldn't mind Bottas and Kimi doing fairly well as well. So, one more question before I go because I'm going to have to fly off. Go buy my mum a present. Don't give me any stick RC for it. I know I forgot, but it's okay. Who is going to finish last, McLaren or Williams, says Umar on cars. In Belgium, I was saying the constructors, it's pretty obvious it'll be Williams, but in Belgium, I still think Williams. I know they've got the Mercedes power unit, but they just don't look particularly great. That car's quite poor is generous. Part of me feels from it, part of me thinks, well, you've had plenty of time to sort it. So, yeah, difficult. Hopefully Grosjean doesn't have a disastrous race. Oh. See, I'm going to go now. That was terrible. That was absolutely terrible. When are you going to do your own F1 team? One day. When I'm a multi-millionaire, a billionaire, I will do. Maybe I'll get to know the Strolls a bit better, but yeah. I'm just having a quick look. Dan Zer says, let's go Grosjean. Yeah, I think we'll leave it there. I was going to go for another couple of questions, but we've been running for half an hour now. I don't want to overrush. And like I said, a bit more relaxed on these streams, so bit more interaction with you guys. I hope you kind of enjoy these little roundups of all the information I just kind of throw at you from practice, because I know not everybody gets to watch, obviously. So it is on Channel 4 in the UK, so a lot more people will be watching, which is awesome. Coming up this weekend, we might be doing the qualifying watch along tomorrow. It looks like we will be, but I will confirm that in the morning on Twitter. We'll be live around about 15 minutes to half an hour before qualifying starts. If you're not sure what the watch-alongs are, there is no race footage, as we've been slammed for over the summer for some reason. There is no race footage. It is just us doing an alternative commentary on what we're watching, literally watching it along with you. So that is what we're going to do on Saturday. Obviously, then later on in the evening, there'll be the qualifying report, which will be a video that will go up around, it's about an 8-minute video, wrapping all that up. And then on Sunday, it's all of those streams, the pre-race, the race watch-along, the race debrief, all of that. So we've got you totally covered here on the F1 Word this weekend, apart from race footage. So not totally covered, just predominantly covered. Hopefully you'll come along and join us for that, and we'll get lots of interaction as well over the weekend. Love talking to you guys. Fantastic. Thanks to everyone for turning out. I know I'm a little bit earlier tonight, so if you are watching this later on at 8 o'clock and you're miffed at me for going live early, apologies, but I had to this Friday. Back to 8 o'clock for the F1 dailies as of Monday, and that'll be every day at 8 o'clock, so it'll all be sorted then back to normal. You can follow me on social media for updates on the channel over the weekend. Links to Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and of course to Discord are all in the description down below. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean. This has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.